Hello and welcome to episode 44 of the She.Must.Knit podcast. My name is Erin and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you guys had a great week, and if your weather is like my weather, I hope you have stayed toasty warm. Oh my goodness, it has been so cold, but it's been excellent weather for staying inside and knitting and not feeling guilty about it. So I feel like I've had a really productive week. And looking at the table in front of me, I don't think that is a statement that is untrue. So what do I have for you today? I have a whole bunch of finished objects. I have progress on a project that I shared with you last week that I had just started. I have some new cast-ons coming up that I want to share with you. I have some pattern highlights. I have updates on my bingo card in January, my mini goals. You know, did I complete them? What are my goals for February? And then I have a little discussion at the end that I want to talk about surrounding some recent conversations going around in the interwebs. So let's get started. I'm going to take a quick sip of my coffee. It's another Bones coffee today, and it is very tasty. It is a little bit lukewarm because I've had to gather a whole bunch of stuff for this and it's taken a little bit of time. But that's okay, it just means it's easier for me to drink. So today's flavor is caramel apple, and I just love showing their packages because their illustrations are just so interesting. I love seeing how they do all the different flavors. So caramel apple today, it's quite tasty. I will be enjoying that, and let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is announce my monthly winner for January. Every month I pull a winner based on all the comments on any of my videos as well as any purchases made through my shop. So each comment and each item ordered counts as an entry towards a $20 coupon to use on my site. So the winner for January is Julie Bergen, and thank you so much. You comment quite often on my videos. I truly appreciate it. So just contact me either through Ravelry or through my website and I will get that set up for you. All the information should be down below on how you can contact me. So let's get started with my finished objects, and I am going to start with my socks. I have actually finished both pairs of socks that I was working on starting in the new year. So the first ones are my January Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. As you know, I am participating in the challenge again this year. I've committed to the first 6 months and we're going to see how it goes after that, because last year that's when I started to lose steam, was more in the fall season. So first 6 months is what I'm aiming for, and this is January's pair. This color is Second Helping, and I love that it's a rainbow but with some more muted colors like the purple and brown there. It just gives it a different look. It's my usual 2mm needles, toe up, German short row heel, 70 stitches, Judy's Magic cast on, and Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, and yeah, so I'm really happy with these. And I will mention, I think I mentioned last time, but for both of the socks that I'm going to show today, I did it where when I got to the heel and I was about to start the German short row heel, I left my working yarn to this, like I just stopped working with my working yarn. I moved my stitches on my needles so that I was at the back of the heel, and then I pulled from the other end of the cake to do my heel, so that once I was done the heel and I picked up my working yarn again, the stripes stayed consistent, so there wasn't a break in the striping pattern. Another thing that I wanted to show that I've done with this pair is that I actually reversed the stripes. So it might not be obvious when you first look at it, but this is something that I have started doing with my striping socks, and I really enjoy it. So for the first sock, I usually like to work from the inside of the cake, and so I will do that for the first sock. And then once I start my second sock, I will rewind the cake so that the stripes are going in the opposite direction. I'm still working from the center of the cake, but I have kind of reorganized it so that it's going the stripes are going the other way. So you can kind of see here that, yeah, the stripes are reversed on both of the socks, but they still look like a pair. I don't have to worry if they are exactly matchy-matchy because they're not going to be. The stripes are reversed. But yeah, it's just something fun, and I really enjoy doing that. So I think I'm not going to promise that I'm going to keep doing that for every month, but I'll probably be doing a lot of socks like that. I just like how I really like how it looks. So the other pair that I finished this month are my husband's socks, and I hadn't planned to finish these for January. My only plan was to cast them on, but because they are a thicker yarn, and I had some of the extra time, I had some opportunities this month that gave me a little bit of extra knitting time, I got them done too. So here they are. I've got both of these done, and these ones, because I used the Patons Croy, and they come in 50-gram balls, I was able to very easily just pretty much match these, except for the heels. You can see the heels are different, but otherwise the socks pretty much match exactly. And the reason that the heels are different is because, again, I did a German short row heel with these, and once I got to the heel, I left the working yarn standing, and I pulled from, in this case, the other ball to do the heel, so that the stripes were not interrupted, but the heels would be different. So that is why, yeah. So these, because this yarn is different, I worked on these on a 2.5mm needle, and I did 64 stitches. So they are thicker, they're a little bit looser, they're nice and tall. And confession, right up until I started recording this, these were on my feet, layered over my own socks that I am wearing, because it is just so blinking cold. Oh my goodness. And I'm pretty sure that once I'm done recording these are going to go back on my feet layered. They were so nice and toasty warm. I think I'm going to have to make myself either some like Croy-like socks, or on my bingo card this year is sport weight socks, and I think that's going to be the perfect way to wear those, is to layer them on these really cold days over my just regular weight socks. So I'm going to be putting those on for sure after this is done. Maybe I'll even take a moment and do that right now because my feet are a little chilly. I'll be right back. Okay, done. I've got them on. Sorry, hubby, I'm wearing your socks, but they're just so cozy and warm, and this house is so cold today. So before I get on to my next project, I just wanted to share with you quickly that I was able to get those two little squares done on my Cozy Memories blanket. This is my DVDs, this is hubby socks. I had mentioned that my goal this year was going to be to keep up with my Cozy Memories blanket. So each month, as I finished projects that used fingering weight yarn, I was going to put those squares into my blanket that month, so that at the end of the year I don't have to catch up on it, and then I can only focus on my Advent project in the month of December instead of trying to catch up on that as well. So I got those squares in. I'm very happy with that. And then before I get on to my next project as well, I was just going to share what I'm going to be casting on for February. So my February DVD socks are going to be from this yarn here, and this color is called Big Magic, and this is going to be another gift pair. So one of the squares on my bingo card is to do at least 6 pairs of gift socks, and I'm trying to get those done early in the year with the DVD challenge, so that those are done and I don't have to worry about them. And this is a skein that I ordered, and I remember when it came in, I looked at the colors and I was like, oh, you know, those aren't usually the colors that kind of appeal to me. I wonder why I ordered that, but I just figured, okay, I must have seen some socks online and really liked it, and that's why I picked that color. And then I realized now through the current challenge, and so I follow the hashtag on Instagram, and so anytime people post their DVD socks, I'll see them even if I don't follow that person. And someone else posted their socks with the same colorway, and it was much brighter. The pink was brighter, the blue was brighter, and I have a feeling that that's why I ordered this color. But because these yarns are dyed on an order-to-order basis, and so they can be different dye lots, different batches, I just got a different batch that looks different than the one that I saw. So that's okay. I've just decided that this is going to be for one of my family members. I'm going to make this for my brother's girlfriend, and I think she will appreciate anything that she gets. She loves wearing hand-knit socks. So that's going to go for her. So it will still get good use. So that's going to be my February DVD sock. So next is my last finished object, and I am somewhat embarrassed by this project because I showed you the progress over the last 2 episodes with my brother's sweater that I cast on back in 2013 and then finally dug out this month to get done, or my goal was just to work on it. And guys, I have finished it. It literally took about 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks really, if I just look at the amount of time that I spent on it to get this done. Like, why did I let this sit for 6 years? It's ridiculous, but it's done. I'm happy with how it's turned out. I was able to take a picture. I went to my mom's yesterday and I got one of my brothers to take a picture with it on, so I will put a picture of it in a little bit of my brothers wearing it. But this is the Donuts hoodie, and this is a pattern from Knitty. It's a free pattern, and it's originally written with a hood, but I did not do the hood. And the last time I showed it to you, I had finished the body. This is what I got done 6 years ago. I got stuck on the sleeves. I finished the sleeves. That's what I showed you last week, that I had finished the sleeves and that I was going to be getting ready to attach them to the body and then do the yoke. And it really did not take a lot of time, maybe a couple of evenings to do the yoke. But I have to say that doing the sleeves flat made this so much easier. First, I just really prefer knitting sleeves flat, so they just zipped by once I started working on them flat. And then the joining process was so much easier. So I had mentioned last week that I wasn't sure if I was going to keep them flat while I join them or if I was going to seam them up and then join them. And I decided to keep them flat, but part of the pattern was on the body you had to keep 12 stitches live, and then on the sleeves you were supposed to also keep 12 stitches live that you would then graft in the underarms afterwards. And so all I did with the sleeves is I kept them flat, but I put the first 6 stitches and the last 6 stitches of the sleeves on a little locking marker, so that those would then be the stitches that I would graft once everything was done. And by keeping the sleeves flat, the joining process was so much easier because it was basically those sleeve stitches just went into the body stitches so much easier. There wasn't the crowding, and like, because usually if you do it with the sleeve in the round, it's very tight because all the stitches are kind of bunched on already in kind of like a circle, and they get very bunched on your needles, and those first 5-6 rows can be very difficult to work through. And in the past, I have found the easiest way to do that is to keep the sleeves on separate needles and work with a 4th needle. So you have your 4th needle and you knit on the body stitches and on the sleeve stitches, keeping them all on their own needles, and that has made that somewhat easier. But having the sleeves be flat and join them that way and then seam them up afterwards made it even easier. So the yoke process on this was actually very, very simple. So once I got that done, I did something else that the pattern didn't call for. So this is the back of the sweater, and you might be able to see kind of in this area right here. I knew I wasn't going to do the hood and that I just kind of wanted to do like a crew neck, but I don't like how sometimes just doing a rib will look. Like sometimes it can get stretched out and look a little sloppy. So what I did was I got to the point where I wanted to start the collar, and I did say 6 rows of ribbing, and then I did my purl row, and then I did another 6 rows of ribbing, and then I turned it, and then I joined underneath. So very similar, if you've seen the video that I have on my channel for how I do a turned brim on a hat, it's very similar to that technique, and that way it kind of gave it a really nice finished edge. And then I kind of did some short rows at the back just to bring the back of the neckline up a little higher than the front, so that when you're wearing it, it wasn't going to be all up here. The back would be a little higher and the front would just scoot down a little bit. I thought that would be more comfortable. And I think it turned out really nicely. I've got it all blocked, it's all sewn up, the pockets all done and everything. I had enough yarn. I was a little bit worried about the brown, but I had plenty of yarn. And then, yeah, I will pop a picture in here of one of my brothers wearing the sweater. Now, he said that it was a little bit it was just a little bit snug on him, and my brothers are all fairly slim, so I have one other brother who was not there yesterday who is the slimmest of the slim. He's the stringiest of the string beans, and I have a feeling that it is going to fit him rather well. So I'm going to be bringing it back to my mom's, and hopefully that brother will be visiting at some point, and we can have him try it on, and I think it will fit him. So that's good. I think it will get a home. If it doesn't fit him, we're going to have to find a plan B, but I will worry about that when we get there. The next thing I have to share with you is progress on the project that I started last week. I had shown you that I had just started a test knit for Stephanie Lotvin, who is one of my favorite designers, and it was for a Intarsia child sweater that I was so excited about. The pattern is called Nar What, and right now she only has pictures for the adult version, which is what I will pop up here, but she's also going to have the pattern written for children as well, and that's what I signed up for because I knew this was right down Avery's alley. And she's going to have two designs, so there's one motif with the narwhal, and then there's another motif available with a catacorn, and that is as soon as I knew she had a catacorn available, that's what I signed up for Avery, because catacorns, she has a lot of stuff with cats on it, and catacorns are just so adorable. I was able to get a lot of work done on this week. I'm still only on the front of the sweater, but I feel like the back is going to go even faster because the bulk of the work and the concentration required is on the front. So guys, look, I have a catacorn. How cute is that? I am really pleased with how this is going so far. I think it looks really, really nice. It is an Intarsia. I had debated on doing these sections here in duplicate stitch. I've been following the thread for the test, and there are some people who are just doing the cat face plain, and then it looks like they're going to go back in and use duplicate stitch to add in the motifs, or like the eyes and nose and stuff, and I had thought about that. But ultimately, I just decided to go for it, deal with all the little bobbins, all the little threads everywhere, and just have it knit in, and I'm glad I did. So this is the back, and you can see that I did Intarsia for these areas. Some of the smaller areas I ended up doing stranded color work, so I just carried the yarn across. So if you see them going across here, the eyes and stuff I ended up doing stranded knitting, and same with the horn. I didn't have two bobbins, like I didn't have a gray bobbin over here and a gray bobbin over here and then the horn bobbin in the middle. I did stranding, and because it was only about 5 or 6 stitches, I did stranding across, so that worked out very well. So that is the back, and then yeah, I am at the point now where I am just knitting straight. I think I've reached, after you finish the chart, she says to just knit straight until X amount of inches depending on the length that you want for it, and I think I am at that point now. And I think the next part is there's some short row shaping for the shoulders and then the neck shaping. So that's where I'm going to be, and that's going to be, I think I'm pretty much smooth sailing. The back of the sweater has a little tail, but it's only one color and it's a small section, so I think that will be very easy. So yeah, I feel like this is going to go very, very fast now. And yeah, the only other thing I will say with this is with the sizing. I think I mentioned last week how I'm doing kind of a hybrid between the 4 and the 6 because Avery's chest measurement is around a size 4, but all her length is very similar to the size 6. So I decided to cast on for the size 6 because I didn't mind it being a little looser in the body. And then after I finished the chart, following all the chart stuff, I have decreased over several rows. I've gone down from the size 6 stitch count, and I've decreased slowly to the size 4 stitch count, so that around her upper chest is where it's going to be a little bit smaller, and that's where I want it to fit more. Like, I don't mind it being a little oversized and a little flowy at the bottom, but I want it to fit more around this area. So I've decreased now to the size 4 stitch count, and I'm going to be following. I'm gonna have to look at the measurements I took for her again because I'm gonna have to follow you know, the size 4 for, you know, the arm depth, or the size 6, or, you know, all these. I have to figure out which is size 4 and which is size 6, but I'm going to be, yeah, doing basically a mix to try and get it to fit really nicely on her. So I love how that project is going. I'm sure next week I will have more progress on that, but I cannot wait for that pattern to be released. You know, I will tell you when it's released, because I think all little children who love narwhals and catacorns would really enjoy a sweater like that. So that is my catacorn test. So next, before I get to my monthly updates and my bingo updates, I'm going to be doing a pattern highlight. And I have 2 patterns to talk about. Actually, one is a pattern and one is a pattern collection. The first is the one that I mentioned last week with the LotsofSocks KAL that is being hosted by Paper Daisy Creations, Lisa Ross. And she has now released her pattern for this KAL, the LotsofSocks pattern, and I will put a picture up of the full sock pattern now. It is available now to purchase and to knit, and going forward for the next 15 days there is going to be a designer every day a highlighted pattern from a designer every day, and that pattern will be on sale, and proceeds from that pattern sold on that day will go towards the Down syndrome charity. So I have decided I really want to try and knit these LotsofSocks socks. I think they're really cool. It's basically done with mosaic knitting, which means you're essentially just knitting stripes, but then you are slipping stitches to give you the look. It just looks more complicated than it really is. It's a great way to get a look of a very complicated pattern that you put a lot of work into, but it's just a lot simpler than it seems to be. So I'm going to give these socks a try. And another goal on my bingo card is to use some of these sock blanks that I have in my stash, and so I have decided to try this pattern with one of my sock blanks. I have this one here, and this is from Stranded Dyeworks. This was a gift from Jo several years ago when she attended SSK, which is a knitting retreat, and she sent this back for me, and I so appreciate it. Thank you so much. So I'm going to try using this for these socks, and then I'm going to pair it with this one here. I got this in a swap, I think last year, and I think that will actually be a really nice pairing. It will bring out some of those reds and burgundies, and then yeah, I think this combination will go really well with some of the pieces in my wardrobe. I have learned that I do like, as much as I like a fun, bright, colorful, crazy sock, I do kind of like when my socks somewhat coordinate with what I'm wearing, so I think this will go nicely. I have some tops that are kind of this reddish color. I think this will go nicely when I wear those. So that's what I'm going to try casting on for the LotsofSocks KAL, which is going on now. I will link again to that thread below. And then the other pattern highlight I have is one that I found in the designer forum. So I have mentioned before that there are several places that I like to look for new designs that catch my eye, that offer inspiration. One of them is the patterns page. I will look at the top 20, or I will look at newly added patterns. Another one is my pattern highlights, which is something that Ravelry provides based on patterns that you favorite, that you knit, designers that you favorite. They'll suggest patterns. And then the other place I like to look is the designer forum. And this is a group where designers of all kinds can go in and post their newly released patterns to kind of promote them. And I do like to go into that thread and check out, they have a thread for every month, so new patterns for January, February, etc., etc. And I like to go in and I like to keep up with the newly released patterns. And I have mentioned before that it is somewhat rare that a pattern will be posted that truly catches my eye. I find a lot of patterns now can look very similar, or just be like, you know, it's another cabled hat, it's another pair of socks, you know, okay. It's very rare that a pattern will make me kind of look twice. And these patterns were released, I think, probably back in December. It's been a couple of weeks. But the designer posted the first pattern. So she did a collection and she posted the first pattern, and I remember seeing it and going, oh, you know, that's very classic, that's very pretty. And then she posted, you know, a week or so later, her second pattern, and I was like, oh, that's very pretty too. You know, again, very classic, very pretty. And then she posted the third one, and she posted a picture of all of them together. And I think that's when it really just stood out to me as a very well-rounded, very thoughtful, very curated collection of patterns that I think would suit a large variety of people. Like I think you could find something in this collection that would work for you regardless. And she has sized them from extra small to 4 extra large. So it doesn't matter your size. I don't think it matters your style. There is something in this collection. So the designer is a Dutch designer, and her name is Signe Strømgaard. And I just think you should check out her collection. I'm going to post some pictures of the patterns that I've been talking about. The first one that she released was La Vita, the second one was Moxie, and the third one was Gloria. But she has a whole catalog of patterns that she does a lot of color work accessories. She has a whole bunch of collections for children. She's got 2. One is knits for little imps and the other one is knits for little scamps. They are beautiful, beautiful designs for children. I think her adult patterns are really pretty. And again, I think this collection in particular was just put together really, really well, and I think would suit a lot of people. So I'm going to link to her designer page below, and I encourage you to go check out her designs because I think she's got some really, really beautiful things. So finally, before we get on to the discussion, I just wanted to give you an update on my goals for this month. I like to look at what my goals were for January and see if I completed them, and then let you know what I'm hoping to accomplish for February. I will put up a picture of all the finished objects that I completed this month. So for January, my goals were to make Avery the Hannah hat, which I did, finish my January DVD socks, which I did, start Dennis's first pair of socks, and I have finished those, work on the Donuts hoodie, and I have finished it, and then cast on the Rainbow Dash sweater, and I have finished it. So not only did I meet my January goals, but I exceeded them because a lot of the projects I just wanted to start, I actually finished. So for February, my goals for February, I tried to keep somewhat restrained because it is a shorter month and I didn't want to go too crazy. So my goals for February are to finish my February DVD socks, to start the LotsofSocks socks, finish the Catacorin sweater. I think I should be able to do that. And then to start my Lion Brand sweater. So I have mentioned in the past that I have some Lion Brand Thick and Quick, some big bulky yarn that I bought about 2 or 3 years ago that is just, it's taking up a lot of room in my stash because they are very, very big balls. And I want to try and make something with it. I picked out a sweater pattern and I'm going to try that first. If for some reason that doesn't work out, I think I might just make kind of like a couch lap blanket or something with it. But I really want to try this sweater, so I want to cast on that project, get that started. That is my other goal for February. And then my other update I wanted to do was my bingo update. So I am going to post a picture of my bingo card as it is at the end of January, and I feel like I made some really, really good progress on my goals this month. So I was able to complete 1 square, and that was to knit the Rainbow Dash sweater. So that square is done. And then I was able to make progress on 7 squares, so that is really, really awesome. I was able to finish 1 out of the 5 adult garments that I want to complete, 1 out of the 3 months of the Desert Vista Dyeworks challenge, 1 out of 6 gift socks, 1 out of 10 patterns that I acquired before 2019, 2 out of 6 items for kids, 1 out of 2 old UFOs that I want to finish, and then 1 out of 4 socks for my husband. So yeah, I'm very pleased with that, and I think I'm just going to continue making pretty good progress. In February, I'm happy with how it's been going, and I'm absolutely thrilled with all the progress that is being made in the group. So if you are not familiar with the Bling Your String Crafty Bingo Challenge, there is a thread in my group on Ravelry. It's just a fun year-long challenge, and you decide your goals. You can join anytime. So if it's something that you think might interest you, pop into the thread, have a look at what everybody's doing and everybody's cards that might be inspiring for you. And then if you want to participate, just post in and say you want to participate, and I will make you a card that you can then fill out and you can play along. So that is it for the knitting this week. So the last thing I wanted to talk about this week is the discussion that has been happening over the last couple of weeks on Instagram about inclusivity and diversity and racism in the knitting community. And I've been following along the discussion, and I think like lots of people, I've been reading, I've been reflecting, I've been processing, but it's not something that I was planning on addressing in this forum, and that's because words are hard, and processing your thoughts are hard, and expressing your thoughts are hard, especially when the topic can be a difficult one to talk about. But this week I decided it's something that I wanted to bring up and I wanted to open up the discussion about, because I received an email from my dear, dear, dear godmother, and she is someone who is just entering in this community, and this is a community that I have always seen as very welcoming, very open, very inclusive, and for some people that's just not the case. And she sent me this email because she's just started getting into watching podcasts, she's just getting into Ravelry, and she is not on Instagram. And so she has been watching all these podcasts that have been making the statements, you know, they want the community to be open and everybody's welcome, and I think that should go without saying. But if that's all the information you're being given, it's hard to know what is prompting that. So where is all this coming from? And so I thought that there might be other viewers that, like her, are getting all this secondhand information and they don't know how to process it, because they don't know why this information is being put out in the first place. So I thought I would add some links below, and these are just links to a Ravelry. It's a link to a Ravelry thread, and in this thread, it's the most concise place that I have found so far, where you can really find all the information to give you the background of where this discussion started, why, and just the people involved, and all the information that I think is really, really important to look at. So yes, I'm going to link the Ravelry thread. And in that thread, there is a link to the original blog post. So this whole thing kind of came up about a blog post. And so the link to that blog post is there. The link to some of the responses to the blog post is there. Also, the original, so the person who made the blog post, her response to all the responses is there. I encourage you to go check that out. Check out the original blog post. Read it, read the responses. Check out some of these stories that have been posted. There's other, I think, links to people on Instagram who have posted their stories. I encourage you to read those stories and really get to the root of where this discussion started. Because now that several weeks have gone by, what I'm finding is that a lot of people are reacting to reactions of reactions and so forth. And I don't think that's going to get, I don't think we're going to get very far with that. I think we're losing sight of the original discussion in some ways. And so yeah, I just wanted to put those links there so that if you wanted to know why people were talking about what they're talking about, you could go and look for yourself and form your own thoughts and your own and reflect in your own ways and go from there. So basically what it comes down to is, let's just all be kind to one another. Treat people the way you expect to be treated. I know that's how I was raised. That's how we are raising Avery. Just be kind. Even with my own business, it's never even crossed my mind to treat people differently from another. I've always tried to make my group very welcoming. I'm hoping that, you know, this podcast is very welcoming. And yeah, if it's otherwise, please let me know. But it's like the saying that I read somewhere that, you know, kindness is free. Let's just sprinkle that stuff everywhere. You will never regret being kind to someone. So yeah, just be kind. That's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any thoughts, I'd love to hear them below or in the group. And yeah, I will talk to you soon. Bye.